Bumbos and Jumper seats. Parents, we need to have a conversation about using these for our kids and if they're really in their best interest. I get it. They're easy, they're convenient, the kids seem somewhat entertained in them, and so they make your life easier as a parent. And I understand that and want to respect that, but at the same time, I know more than anything, you want to make sure your kids are at their best, and you want to make sure that nothing is preventing that. So let's talk about whether or not they're really in your kids' best interest. In my opinion, as well as a lot of other pediatric chiropractors, other OTs, or pediatric physical therapists, we are not a fan of these at all. Let me explain why. There's two main reasons. One is it limits their movement, and two, it puts them in a compromised position before they're really able to. You got to believe that anything that's coming from us here at Thrive is going to talk neurology, it's going to talk development, because that's what we're all about as pediatric chiropractors. So, in kids, the number one things that drives higher milestone achievement, that drives them hitting the next developmental checkpoint, is movement. For a kid, right off the get-go, it starts as just moving their head, right? The first thing we're looking for a baby to do is be able to have good head control, equal rotation each way, not a preference tilting, anything like that. And then that moves on to, can you sit up on your own? Can you get on all fours? Can you move? Can you crawl? Can you walk? And so on. That physical movement is feeding the next physical developmental stage, but it's also feeding their brain development. That movement through their spine, through the proprioceptive sensors and receptors, it's what's building the ability to think, to regulate emotions, higher levels of cognition, all of that. So a Bumbo, a jumper seat, doesn't allow that to happen. It doesn't allow them to move around, to have sensory input from the floor, from you, your body being held. It's limiting what they're taking in. So we don't like it from that perspective. And it's really putting them in positions that's compromising their integrity. A kid in a Bumbo is usually there because they can't sit up on their own yet. They can't sit up on the floor or on your lap or anything by themselves. So we're putting them in that before they're able to. Same thing with the jumper here. We're putting them in before they can do those actions on their own. That means that their structural system, their ligaments and bones and soft tissue, is not able to support their body weight yet. Otherwise, they could have that developmental milestone. So when we're putting them in those positions too early, it's harming their natural ability to hit those checkpoints. It's harming their ability to develop as they should. So we're limiting movement, and we're putting more stress and strain on their bodies. That's especially true of these jumpers or bouncers or anything like that, because now not only are we allowing them to be sitting up before they're ready to, they're standing up before they're able to, and not only standing but bouncing. And so there's greater impact than just their body weight. There's the impact of their body weight, jumping up and then springing back down. So not a fan, because it's going to compromise their positions and it's going to limit their development. That's why we're so passionate about pediatric chiropractic, is because it's going to accomplish those things. Every adjustment is better signaling and better making sure that the proper proprioceptive input is going up to the spine so that all those milestones are happening as they're supposed to, and it's undoing the damage that's been done, right? You're probably using these to some capacity. You're probably, if you're like my kids, they're in their own process of learning to develop and walk and move. They're having their own bumps and bruises and rolls and knocks and all that. So pediatric chiropractic helps make sure that that is not their new normal way of development, but they can continue on a good path. So what should we do instead? What should we do instead of plop them in a Bumbo, plop them in a jumper, anything like that? It's really simple. It's just the floor. It's just open space. We want kids to have time on their bellies, on their tummies, so that they can figure out those steps on their own. I know it's not as easy as I wish it was, especially that window from like 3 to 4 months on to 8 or 9 months until they're able to be more independent. My own family, that's when my wife is least likes being married to a pediatric chiropractor, because she would love to stick her kid in a Bumbo or a jumper, but she knows it's not in their best interest. So we rough it out. We do what we can with baby wearing, with interacting with toys on the ground and stuff like that, and just know that it's a phase that you'll get through eventually, and you'll see the other side of it, and you'll be better off for it. So let me know if you got questions on that. Hopefully it's helpful. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel shame if you've used them in the past, or if you've used them still in your patient that's coming in the office. Let's just try to limit it. Let's just try to get them on the floor, on their belly as much as possible, so that we can let those developmental processes go as they're supposed to. Thank you guys. Have a great rest of the day.